9 years ago, when Facebook bought Instagram for $1 billion, many industry leaders were skeptical about the decision. Facebook themselves had just become profitable a few years ago, and they hadn't even gone public yet. So it didn't seem very reasonable to spend $1 billion on a photo sharing app that had only been around for 1.5 years with a total of 13 employees. With time, however, Facebook's decision to acquire Instagram has proven to be a brilliant business decision, as Instagram is estimated to be worth a whopping $100 billion today. Given that Facebook did not create Instagram though, what happened to Instagram's founders, and why did they leave Facebook in 2018? Well, starting off with Mike Krieger, Mike was born on March 4, 1986 in Sao Paulo, Brazil. We don't really know much about his early life, but it does seem like Mike excelled at school, as he would be admitted into Stanford in 2004. At Stanford, Mike majored in symbolic systems, and he would later meet Kevin Systrom, the other founder of Instagram, during a fellowship. When the two eventually started working on Instagram, Mike mainly managed the technical side of Instagram. He would fix outages, make sure there was enough server capacity, and so on and so forth. One time, Mike says that when he woke up in the morning, he saw an email saying that Instagram had gone down. He instantly opened the app to see what was going on, when he noticed that Instagram was running perfectly fine. Mike asked Kevin and some early employees if they had fixed the issues, but none of them had. Confused, Mike decided to look at the terminal to see who had made the last edit, and it turns out that Mike had actually woken up at 3:30 a.m., fixed the outage, and gone back to sleep. Clearly, Instagram's operations weren't perfect, but this would all change when Facebook bought Instagram in late 2012. Owning 10% of the company, Mike made a total of $100 million from the acquisition. Assuming that Mike's payout was proportional to the overall acquisition, Mike received $30 million in cash and $70 million in Facebook stock. Facebook agreed to keep Instagram a separately run business, so Mike and Kevin maintained relative autonomy. But the financial, technological, and human resources they received from Facebook were invaluable. After the acquisition, Mike became the CTO of Instagram, where he scaled the engineering team from just 6 general developers to 300 specialized engineers. One of the first projects that the team worked on after the acquisition was launching a web browser version of Instagram. This was one of the first times that a mobile app was translated into a website. Usually, it was the other way around. Anyway, later in April of 2015, Mike partnered with a charity organization called GiveWell, where he donated $750,000. In 2016, Mike worked on redesigning the app to better match modern UI and design, and in 2018, Mike worked on launching IGTV. At this point, it seemed like things were going great. Instagram's user base was growing exponentially, and Instagram was transitioning from an up-and-coming startup to an established social media player. Yet, just a couple of months after the launch of IGTV in September of 2018, Mike and Kevin announced that they would be leaving Instagram and Facebook. But before we get into that, let's take a look at Kevin's side of the story up until this point. Kevin Systrom was born on December 30th, 1983 in Holliston, Massachusetts. As a kid, Kevin often played a video game called Doom 2, which fueled an interest in programming. Kevin would also end up attending Stanford for his bachelor's, but Kevin majored in management science and engineering. While at Stanford, Kevin was selected to take part in the Mayfield Fellows Program, which not only allowed him to meet Mike, but also score an internship at Odeo. If you're not familiar with Odeo, these are actually the guys who would go on to create Twitter. Anyway, Kevin didn't jump straight into Instagram, or Bourbon as it was originally called, right after college. In 2006, Kevin actually joined Google as an associate product marketing manager. At Google, Kevin worked on Google Calendar, Gmail, Docs, and Sheets. A few years into his venture at Google, a couple of his co-workers left the company to create their own company called Nextstop. Nextstop was a social travel recommendation site, and Kevin would follow his co-workers and join the startup. Kevin didn't work at Nextstop for too long, but his experience with the startup was essential in the creation of Instagram. Fun fact, Nextstop was acquired by Facebook as well in 2010. After his stint at Nextstop, Kevin would go around Silicon Valley and pitch his idea for Bourbon to a plethora of venture capitalists. Andreessen Horowitz and Baseline Ventures would agree to invest $500,000 into the idea, and this allowed Kevin and Mike to get Bourbon off the ground. Initially, Bourbon was actually a check-in app that allowed users to share their location, post pictures, and accumulate points. However, Kevin soon decided that it was better to just focus on one feature, and this led to the creation of Instagram. Instagram was a rather trendy launch, as the app basically went viral immediately. Within the first 24 hours, 25,000 people signed up for Instagram, and within 9 months, Instagram boasted a total of 7 million users. Meanwhile, Facebook's user growth had stalled, and many users had even stopped using Facebook. So, Mark Zuckerberg made a gutsy move to play it big with Instagram. Kevin also received an offer from Jack Dorsey as well, but their offer was only half of Facebook's offer at $500 million. Kevin also had plenty of private funding as well, which could run the company for years. But he felt that support from Facebook would largely streamline the process. He didn't want to lose control though, so he put in a contingency that Instagram would operate as an independent company. Facebook would agree, and Kevin would remain the CEO of Instagram under the ownership of Facebook. The acquisition netted Kevin a total of $400 million, and if we assume that the ratio of cash to stock is the same as the overall acquisition, Kevin received $120 million in cash and $280 million in Facebook stock. Under Kevin's leadership, we saw the release of a variety of different filters. The story goes that Kevin's girlfriend did not want to post pictures from their vacation to Mexico because she didn't like the quality of the pictures. Kevin's solution to this conundrum was designing filters that could effectively disguise the quality of the pictures. Nowadays, this isn't really that big of a concern considering how advanced smartphone cameras have become. Nonetheless, filters have become a staple of Instagram today. Aside from filters, Kevin also oversaw the release of the Explore tab and the monetization of Instagram. And in May of 2017, Kevin described how he envisioned Instagram getting involved with virtual reality products within the next few years. So clearly, he had no intentions of leaving the company at this time. Yet, he would do just that a year later. So, what happened? Well, neither Mike, Kevin, nor Mark have really pointed any fingers at each other publicly. Mark simply congratulated Mike and Kevin on their success and wished them good luck in their future endeavors. Meanwhile, Mike and Kevin simply stated that they were ready to move on to new ventures. In reality though, it seems like there was much more going on behind the scenes. You see, though Instagram's autonomy allowed Kevin and Mike to retain control of Instagram and grow it how they wanted, it also created a divide within Facebook. A lot of Facebook's executives felt that Instagram was outshining Facebook, and that Facebook should get more credit for Instagram's success. I don't think Mark was part of this group, as I think he was proud and happy that he made a great call with Instagram. But he didn't want to upset the executives that were butthurt. So he started to impose limitations on Instagram and take more credit for Instagram's success. In the July 2018 earnings call, for instance, Mark stated, quote, "We believe Instagram has been able to use Facebook's infrastructure to grow more than twice as quickly as it would have on its own." Soon after, Mark asked his head of growth to make a list of all the ways Facebook supported and boosted Instagram's growth. Mark would then go ahead and inform Kevin and Mike that he has to take away all of these supports in order to protect the Facebook app. Around the same time, Kevin participated in some magazine profiles, and Mark would go ahead and ban Facebook employees from participating in magazine profiles without approval from himself or Sheryl Sandberg, who is the COO of Facebook. Irritated by all of these new rules, Kevin would use paternity leave as an excuse to take a break from Instagram for a little bit, but Mark continued to push Kevin's buttons. While Kevin was on leave, Mark started testing location tracking on Instagram, something Kevin was strongly against. By this point, Kevin became convinced that Mark was trying to make Kevin's life as miserable as possible in order to force him to resign. This was also around the same time that Facebook was involved in the Cambridge Analytica scandal, which just further put off Kevin and Mike. So, the duo took the hint and resigned from Instagram shortly after Kevin returned from paternity leave. Adam Mosseri took over as the new leader of the company, and Instagram has been doing just fine since then. However, it does seem like Instagram has lost the autonomy that it once had. Kevin did eventually hint at this tension between himself and Mark by stating, "No one ever leaves a job because everything's awesome." Anyway, since their departure, Kevin and Mike have taken it easy, opting to focus on their families, hobbies, and self-improvement. The biggest thing the duo has embarked on since leaving Instagram has been RT.live. The duo launched this website in April of 2020, and the website provided up-to-date data on how fast COVID-19 was spreading in each state. If you go to RT.live now though, you'll see that the website has been shut down due to better tracking methods being available. But that's pretty much it from Mike and Kevin. After the acquisition, the duo took on leading roles at Instagram. For many years, Instagram's expansion was going great, and Instagram became a leading social media company. However, their explosive success ended up being the root of their downfall. Instagram's autonomy began to slowly erode, and eventually, Kevin and Mike had had enough and they left the company. It's not all bad though. Since then, they've been taking it easy, finally enjoying the wealth they earned years ago. Do you guys think Facebook's acquisition of Instagram was a positive or a negative long term? Comment that down below. Also, drop a like if you use Instagram way too much. And of course, consider joining our Discord community to suggest future video ideas, and consider subscribing to see more questions logically answered. But until then, I'm Hari, and I'll see you guys on the next one.